Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting. I'm meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. And I notice everyone's here. So we will start with the land acknowledgement. We will begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathering on land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishkocotton First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, shaping and strengthening the community and province of Ontario. Okay. Now, we need the approval of the agenda. And I think Lori has a resolution.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon, resolved that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting of Council scheduled for Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Approved. Okay, are there any announcements? None at this point. Moving on to number 4, the declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we will move on to number 5, adoption of minutes for May 7th of 2024. Lori has a resolution.
Seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the following minutes of the Municipality of Wawa Committee of Adjustment be adopted as presented. Minutes of a Committee of Adjustment meeting held on Tuesday, 24, as contained on pages 1 to 4, inclusive of the minute book.
That's it. Okay, moving on to
All in favor?
all in favor. Okay, very good. Moving on. Old business, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Item 7.1, approve the actions of the Secretary Treasurer. Lori has a resolution.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon, resolved that the Municipality of Wawa Committee of Adjustment the actions of the Secretary Treasurer with respect to the notification of the following applicant. A-0524, Mr. Luke Morden, applied for a minor variance to zoning bylaw number 2821-15 as amended, respecting 22 Superior Avenue. The applicant is proposing to reduce front yard setback from 7.5 meters to 6.4 meters for a permitted addition to the front of the dwelling on the subject property.
Is that 7 point?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about the action of the Secretary Treasurer about notification.
Okay. So, okay, you've already summarized, and there's no comment.
Excuse me, Chair, we're on 7.1. It's a resolution just approving that the Secretary Treasurer gave out proper notice about the application. So we have a mover and seconder, so all in favor.
Yes, all in favor. Now we'll move on to item 7.2, application of minor variance A05/24, Mr. Luke Morton. And we'll ask Maury to summarize the report.
Thank you, Chair. And this report was prepared by Kevin Samarin. And as previously noted, it's for Mr. Morden on 22 Spirit Avenue, who's located in the R1 residential first density zoning area. And in the zoning bylaw, the setback required is 7.5 meters. So the applicant is asking to reduce that by 0.1 meters for the addition of a deck. So it'd be just a walk-up outside entrance to his house. The application was reviewed and it meets all tests of our official plan and what is a minor variance. There were no public comments received for or against this application. And the recommendation is that the file be approved with the following conditions. Number 1, that the variance applies only to the proposed addition as shown on approved drawings attached to the notice of decision, and shall provide to the copy of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment together with a copy of the approved drawings when they make an application for a building permit.
And you have a resolution here.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chair. I'll just note under 7.2B, we did receive Algoma Public Health, and they have no application. As I noted, no public comment, so the resolution is as follows. Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the minor variance application A0524 submitted by Mr. Luke Morden for a minor variance to zoning bylaw 28 amended respecting 22 Spirit Avenue, Plan M263, Lot 16, Parcel 5460 AWS in the municipality of Wawa. Following conditions, the approved variance applies only to the proposed addition as shown on the approved drawings attached to the notice of decision. And two, the owner applicant provide to the building department a copy of the decision of the committee of adjustment together with a copy of the approved drawings when they make an application for a building.
And do we vote on this? Can I have a show of hands? And this meeting is now adjourned at 6:36 p.m. And Maury has a resolution for that.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, second by Councillor Cannon, that the meeting close at 6:36 p.m.
All in favor? Okay, now we will move on to the committee of the whole. And we are calling this meeting to order at 6:37 p.m. Here. Moving on to item number 2, disclosure of request. Seeing none, we will move on to number 3, approval of the agenda. Need a mover and a seconder. More Councillor Hatfield and Councillor Cannon. Okay, all in favor? Good. Number 4, delegations and presentations. Seeing none, we will move on to number 5, adoption of minutes for the committee of the whole, Tuesday, May 7th, 24. I need a mover, Councillor Cannon, and a seconder, Councillor O'Battle. All in favor? Okay. Moving on to item number 6, business arising out of previous meeting. Seeing none, we will move on to new business. Number 7, item 7.1, monthly reports. Do any member of council have any questions? Councillor Hatfield.
Are you going to go one department at a time?
Whatever your, wait a minute, which one are you going to talk about?
Well, first, infrastructure.
Okay.
Okay, Dan, in your mentioned that all sidewalks are maintained during the winter months. What about the rest of the sidewalks?
Councillor, can you repeat that?
Oh, in your report, you put down that there was all the sidewalks that were maintained during the winter were cleaned, but there's a tremendous amount of sand and rocks with water sidewalks. Can we clean those?
No, this year we swept just the sidewalks that we've maintained throughout the winter. We're trying not to sweep all the sidewalks, as our sidewalk machine, our sweeper, doesn't really fit on the old sidewalks, and it takes up more grass, and we get a lot more complaints. So we're trying just to do the ones that we maintain throughout the winter.
So you think it would be wise for us to advertise that we will be doing that not in the area because there's some that are really bad. Like I'm doing mine, but I walk on several sidewalks that are really, I just don't know if anybody's going to get hurt stepping on it. It's just food for thought. You could take a drive around sometime or something. like it's up to me, but I've been asked about it several times. That's all I have for you, Dan.
Okay, I sure will take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Councilor Cannon?
I just have two questions, one for you, Dan, also. It's about, or maybe not, this isn't the time, sorry, next one. This is for Alex. Can you down at the marina the new envelope system that you're gonna use? Just in case, like any of us get asked, or so that I know about it?
Absolutely. So we haven't put any posters out yet, but we will be advertising about it. Essentially what it is very similar to when you come into a provincial park for the day use permitting. So in our case, it will be for the day use of the launches. So we've been told before that we have those red posts there, but nobody knows what they are, what they mean. So we've gotten some signage that's on order right now. We've gotten some envelopes and some boxes that are on order right now. And essentially what you would do is it's a two-part. On the envelope part that you seal, you would put your name, your license, put a deposit in that of how many ever days you're paying for. And then you would tear off a section of the envelope, seal the envelope, and put it in the box. And then the other part of the envelope has a receipt number. The envelope that you just put in, you can put that in your dash. So essentially, just keep track a little bit of how many people are using the launches daily. And then when we go down there, we see some people with the seasonal launch passes in their dashes, but we didn't really have anything for day use unless you came to the community center, which a lot of people don't do. So this is a way for us to go down there, take a look at what vehicles are parked down there, and make sure they have a little receipt in their dash from using that day use system.
Perfect, thanks.
Alex, you did a report on waiver fee for my request. Did you send out the letter that I was sent?
Yes, it should be attached. I don't have my package.
Yeah, so it's part of, if you go under new business, there's a memo.
I didn't see it. Okay. Maureen, you've often said to me, if council wants to go ahead with something, that we should vote on it. I'm not sure how to go ahead, but I would like to go ahead with this and vote. And
Thank you, Councillor Hatfield, and we will discuss this under the appropriate item, which is 8.3.
Oh, okay.
We'll be talking about it,
okay,
and so I can answer your concern then.
okay, Alex, what are the new banners on Broadway and Mission Road?
So we have some funding left over from the BIA from when they closed. And as you can see, the banners that used to be on Broadway and Mission are essentially almost all gone now. A lot of them wore out, they were damaged by the sun, and so they just are not there anymore. So we put together essentially a slightly modified program to use that existing hardware. We got permission from Algoma Power to put a couple more down Mission Road towards the community center. And we're going to replace them with a fabric banner. So instead of having a vinyl banner that is meant to last like 3 or 4 years, but then it's gone after that, there's a significantly cheaper fabric banner that you can print very similarly to a flag, and so that it becomes part of our flag program where we order a set of fabric banners every year. We can change the design slightly every year and then go from there.
And what's
So,
the design?
pardon me?
What's the design on this?
We're just finalizing them right now.
Okay. So you'll bring it up again?
Absolutely, yeah. Once we get final approval for them, then we'll show council.
And, did you check your tourist thing out and see if that?
Yes, I did, and it's removed.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Councilor O'Papa? You're good? No other questions? Okay, I guess we will move on to item number 8, new business. Okay, the item 8.1, accessible transit van updates and funding changes request. Becca?
Good evening, Chair and Council. Quick summary of the memo that we supplied. We are, as part of the Council's strategic plan, is to look at replacing our transit bus with an accessible van. Unfortunately, we reached out to Move Mobility to say, hey, we're ready, we want to move forward with the van. They indicated to us they're actually no longer making them because the range is very poor. They've had very bad feedback from clients that have purchased them. And so I don't want us to lose out on the opportunity for the funding that we have received. And therefore, I'm asking to endorse providing the RTSF, which is the Rural Transit Solutions Fund, change request form. And the idea is that they have a gas model that's the exact same interior setup as the electric model, but since they're no longer making the electric model, continue to provide transit services in a smaller vehicle that's much easier to maintain, still maintain our level of service. Again, you don't need the special driver's license. Yeah, easier to take to a dealership to get fixed, those kinds of things. So we're hoping that you guys will agree with that. I really don't want us to miss out on this, especially because our current bus is having some body issues and Heather's tired of getting rained on. So if we can get a new bus, that would be great. So yeah, we're just looking for approval to submit a change request form, which I basically have done and ready and just need to hit the send button.
Any questions?
Just have one. When we applied for the grant, was it specifically for the electric?
Yes, when I talked to the I guess funding coordinator, she suggested to me that we would be able to submit this change request form just because we are so small. So even though it's not electric, we're still eligible for funding.
Perfect. I think it's a good idea.
Also happy?
No.
I have to ask my question.
Okay. So I think that's also all you want is just a approval from us.
Yes, please.
So how do we go about that?
There'll be a resolution of support for the recommendation on the regular meeting following this meeting.
Okay, very good. Item 8.2, update on landfill signage, and Becca, you're
Yeah, so this memo is just an update. In the memo, there's some images of the new signage that Andy Spitzer provided, and they're beautiful, much better than what we have here now. Unfortunately, Classic Signs wasn't going to be able to meet our deadline. I didn't know that before last council meeting. Otherwise, I would have had a memo then, because I know our goal was to change the hours of operation for this Tuesday or today. And so I'm working with Classic Signs to get a deadline for when they're going to be installed. That way we can do a public or educational campaign and get everybody up to date on that. Ideally, we'll be able to get it into a mail drop of some kind or when the bills go out. So just an update that we're not moving forward just yet because I think it'd be confusing to have signs up in different hours, actual hours of operation. So we're going to try to do these two things together.
Are there any questions? I have. Are you putting signs up right at Highway 17 or up out by the dump?
So there's two signs there. The one is right at the entrance of the road to the dump. That's about 12 feet by 8 feet, or 4 feet, one of those dimensions, in size. And the other one is like an 8 by 6, which is actually just on the curve as you come into High Falls Road. But you don't very faded and very gloss. So we're using the existing post infrastructure that's already there. So there is one just as road.
So that's it. And then we just move on to item 8.3, request for waiver of rental.
Okay, so as Councillor Hadfield mentioned, I wrote a report regarding a request that we received through the Lady Dunn Health Center through a waiver of marina fees. Council has no policy on waiver of fees except for facility fees at the community center. So we don't have any mechanism in policy currently to waive any fees at the marina. So we did a quick review. So I provided council with information, including the cost, which is about $500. For considering this request, but because there's no policy, because we are trying to treat all users in fairness, us as staff, we're not recommending that we approve that request.
Okay, are there any questions?
Yeah, this is where I asked my question. Sorry. I would like to counsel for that. I'm not sure how to quite go about it more.
They filled in through the chair. Council can request and through the chair, direct that a supporting resolution go on the next meeting on June 4th.
That's what I would like, through the chair.
Okay, so what, we would table this till,
It's not tabling it. This is normal process or procedure. We normally discuss something at corporate agenda and forward it to the next regular meeting. So that's normally what we do, unless it's a minor item that, or something that needs to be approved immediately. So a resolution of support will go on the June 4th council meeting, the regular meeting, and each council can vote for or against at that evening for the request. But tonight, it's not tabling it. Tonight is for discussion and question and answer.
Okay.
Make sense?
okay? So if anybody else wanted to say anything? Does everybody know what's going, okay, Councilor Ken. Oh,
When you talk about these slips, Alex, are we filled right up?
We typically only fill up for Fish Review weekend. So we sit at about ish % capacity until we get to that weekend. That weekend is full. And then after that, we're typically sitting about 75 to 80% capacity, depending on how, honestly.
So we're not stealing money or anything, it's not sold or turning people away. So it's not money that we're getting, it's an empty slip that's not being used and we're trying to donate it. And when it is full, this person that we're talking would probably pull his boat out for that particular event that would, not be inconvenienced or anything.
Yeah, so it's really how council wants to revenue. So all of the fees at that back into maintaining the facility. So it's $500 less from that facility. Typically, how we do donations like this is it comes out of a council donation account and goes into the revenues of the facility so that our budget stays the same there.
I could see that if it was filled all the time, and it's not. It's just, it's not that we're losing money or turning money away, we're just making use of the facility that's there.
Councilor Ken?
I agree with you, Alex. I mean, there is no policy, and maybe we should make a policy then. I mean, we can do that and then go from there. But for now, I mean, I agree with Alex that we shouldn't until there's a policy or something in place.
I would like to keep it at a resolution form.
So if I could guide, if the majority of council says resolution, we can board it on the June 4th. So you might ask by a show of hands, board to resolution on June 4th.
I like that, yes. A show of hands, who wants to see it as a resolution? For June 4th. Can I raise two?
So we will put the matter on June 4th as a resolution that council can vote for or against. Just noting that voting against doesn't mean that another process such as a policy, council could direct that a policy be brought back to council on June 4th for consideration. In addition to the resolution to approve, would council like a draft policy to be brought forward at the corporate meeting at the same time, in addition to the resolution on the regular?
I think so.
I'm not quite sure what's, like, this is probably going to be a one-time thing, but what do you think of the policy? Like, I'm not sure.
I think,
You said yes?
For a policy, yes.
I think what I'm trying to offer council is it's not an all or nothing. solution here. Council can still vote on June 4th in favor or against. But at the same time, this kind of request may come up again.
Okay.
And also to maybe put some parameters that are in place to make sure that council is treating requests fairly if they come up from two parties at the same time, or there's other recommendations. So a policy around donations to citizens who do good for the community, whether it be no matter what they do, but maybe they do something special for the community that council wants to recognize. We can still bring up for discussion and consideration at the next corporate, and then also have that resolution on the regular.
Okay, thank you.
Does that?
Okay, so for June 4th, we'll have a policy and a vote. Very good. So now we can move on to 8.4, previously owned mid-sized wheel loader RIF results. Dan, did you
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in 1997, the municipality was eligible for Transport Canada ACAP funding, which allowed the purchase of this equipment. Over the years, the municipal staff, have applied for ACAP funding through Transport Canada and have been denied. Last year, we assessed the equipment and made recommendations to replace the loader with a newer previously owned loader. We used budget to determine what we needed for capital budget. And then once the capital budget was approved, we put RFP out for through bids and tenders for a used loader. At, 6, I believe. And we evaluated them. The tenders were evaluated, point system were put into specs. After the evaluation, we had CJ Equipment and Tormont Cat was tied for the highest points. CJ Equipment submitted a bid for a 2019 loader, and it came in at $155,940. We had Tormont Caterpillar submit a bid for a 2020 John Deere loader, $6,318.16. So after this, staff, including the municipal mechanic, recommended moving forward with the purchase of the 2020 John Deere loader from Tormont Cat, given that we currently own 2 John Deere loaders of similar size. Parts and service are simplified because we already have the stuff in stock. And with the 1997 loader, we're going to bring it to allocate it to the municipal landfill, and hopefully for the rest of its life cycle, and it'll just fulfill the needs there.
Any questions? None? I think we like what you're.
Thank you, Council.
And we'll move on to item 8.5 and RFP 2024-05 Airport Sand Shed. And Dan's up again.
So the municipality applied for and received funding through the NOHFC for safety and accessibility improvements to the airport. Sand shed was noted to improve and safety for, so an RFP for a 40 by 40 sand shed with block foundation was issued through the municipality's bids and tenders. 4 bidders submitted proposals evaluated on qualifications, preferences, approach, and project cost. Compared at the back. And staff is recommending that Mike Moore Construction be awarded for the contract for $156,925.35.
Any questions?
Where does it go?
It is going on the backside of the garage, currently where the sand is now.
Okay, I think I got it. We'll see it when it's finished, right?
Yes.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, it is needed. And moving forward, especially if we're trying to improve the airport, that's a start. That's a really good start.
I'm good, Joe.
Good.
Thank you for your report. And now we'll move on to item 8.6, map consultation results. Alex.
Thank you. Excuse me, this is a memo and an update for council on where we are on the process. So after our last report back to council, we held another consultation session. We've included the presentation at a previous council meeting as to what that looks like. Consultation session was a lot less attended. Some of the brick and mortar businesses were there, but most of the short-term rental folks didn't show up to that second consultation session. At that consultation session, we gave a variety of answers to some of the questions. And we got some feedback from folks. We may have changed a couple lines there, but generally, some of the usual suspects came out and had very similar things to say as the first consultation session. After that, we went to a one-on-one outreach. So to make sure that we really got everybody's opinion for it, from the brick and mortar businesses especially, I drove around and knocked on people's doors and really had, a lot of time to have conversations with people who couldn't show up to the meetings. So I didn't show up to everybody's door, but as to come to the meetings, I was able to go around, have conversations with them, get their comments and feedback and thoughts about the program. Once I was finished with that one-on-one outreach, I talked to some of the beneficiary groups. So we've had really like a one-sided perspective so far. We've done a lot of the conversation with the short-term rental folks, with the motels. We haven't had conversations with some of the people who would stand to benefit when you look at other communities and the examples of what they've used their funding for. So we were able to talk to folks from some of the committees. So for festival, the snow riders, we were able to talk to some of the people who really kind of help out with a lot of those activities. Because we've seen that communities, a lot of the tourism specific funds end up at that committee level to help them advertise their event, host a larger event, attract more people, things like that. So we talked to those beneficiary groups. We did some as well, some of the questions that came up during the second session and at a recent Economic Development and Tourism Committee meeting around how we can help offset the cost of the collection. And so I've indicated some research about that in this presentation. And finally, we're suggesting as a last consultation session to have a public meeting. So not just open to just the motels and short-term rentals anymore, but open to the general public and inviting not only the motels to come and say their opinion to council, but also some of these folks who could benefit from it, some of the people who see that bigger picture of it. So really give you guys a balanced opinion of what the community is looking at before it comes time to vote on this.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
When is that meeting going to be?
So we're proposing it at the start of the June 4th council meeting. So essentially it'll be just a regular council meeting at the very start. There'll be opportunity for public comment, some specific parameters so it doesn't get out of hand. And then we'll continue on with our regular council meeting.
Okay, very good. So now we can move on. We are moving on to item number 9 in camera. There are none, so we'll move on to number 10, business arising from closed session. There is none. We'll move on to item 11, next meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 4th at 6:30 p.m. here in council chambers. Do I need a hands up, thumbs up, everybody's okay with this? Okay.
I think we just need to close the meeting.
Now we adjourn the meeting, and this meeting will close at 7:04 p.m. I need a mover. All in favor? Council panel. Everyone's in favor. Okay, thank you, and we'll give it a minute, and then we'll move on to the next meeting. There you guys can go for baseball.
Fun.
It's not raining yet.
It's not gonna rain till midnight.
Okay, perfect.
This meeting to order. We make the time 7:06 PM. Okay, and disclosure of pecuniary interest, none. We'll move on, approval of agenda, resolution.
Moved by Councillor Paddle, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 be approved as presented.
To show of hands. All in favor? Okay. To number 4, delegations and presentations. Seeing none, we will item number 5, announcements and giving of notice. So this is where we can shoot the bull for a little bit? Okay. Actually, I would like to, because we weren't here for last meeting because the CEO and Councillor O'Pato and myself were at Phenom. And I just wanted to relate that we had a good time. We learned a few things again, like usual. We had various cabinet ministers there again, telling us what they're all gonna do for us. And we know how they're here for us. Yes, Stan Cho, Minister of Long-Term Care, was there. And we didn't get to talk to him, but he was telling us how they are opening long-term facilities in Sudbury and North Bay. And my question would have been, how about giving the little towns some units, because we don't want to move to the Sudbury or Timmins. And then we met with the NDP leader, Merritt Stiles. We had a good session with her. We were talking to her for about an hour. We discussed everything from long-term care, closures, lack of rest stops on here in Thunder Bay. And then we also talked about the loss of the van, whatever, yes. And hopefully she'll be able to do something. We also heard and talked about finishing the connecting link between Sudbury and Parry Sound. And that was quite an interesting discussion because the minister couldn't quite figure it out what we were looking for, and he just said dollars on highways and safety, but he didn't answer the question, when are we going to finish the connecting link? So finally, after 3 attempts, he committed to about 2 years. So anyway, it was very interesting. So I don't know, does Joe have anything else to say? Okay, now we'll move on to item 5.1. I don't know, did you just handle this whole shoot for us?
You just summarized that these are the meetings upcoming for information.
You want me to read them? No? Okay. So then we'll move on to Item number 6, adoption of minutes.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Rapato, resolved that the following minutes of the meeting of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of a regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, as contained on pages 1 to 12, inclusive of the minute book. Minutes of a special meeting of council held on Friday, May 10th, 2024, as contained on pages 1 to 2, inclusive of the minute book. And minutes of a special meeting of council held on Saturday, May 11th, 2024, as contained on pages 1 to 2, inclusive of the minute book.
And then we'll move on to item, all in favor? That's what we'll do. Okay, now we'll move on to item number 7, correspondence.
Chair, there's a number of pieces of correspondence. Note is 7.1 for council's information. The Algoma District Social Administration Board had a vote. I believe it was their February meeting, I don't have it in front of me. And they denied Wawa's request to consider or investigate an alternate, proportionate model, alternate versus what they're using now. I think the mayor would likely want to speak to this at a future meeting of council. But the board did share this all participating municipalities. So it was disappointing to receive the correspondence, but it's so noted. There's a letter thanking the municipality. We took part in an online marriage license pilot, and so there's thank you and congratulations to the municipality of Wawa. So particularly the treasury staff for participating. As you may be aware, June is Seniors Month in Wawa in 2024. I think there's a couple of events planned, but we'll share with council what they are. And that from the Ministry of Environment, we passed with no issues our annual Wawa Drinking Water System Inspection Report. So congratulations to Dan, Becca, and her team for operating a great water treatment plant, even given that they're short-staffed. So much congratulations to them. There is just an update on the move to the April 1st, the new Community Safety and Policing Act, and that is moving forward. Participants have to take training and do a few things. There hasn't been an official meeting yet of the new Spirit East OPP detachment, but I'm sure it'll be held in the next couple of months. It's noted in the materials that council will receive as correspondence under the consent agenda, but not under correspondence, that unfortunately our provincial appointee has resigned from the new OPP detachment board, and one of the community reps that was selected by all together. So one has resigned as well. So I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with all our surrounding municipal partners to come forward back to our councils with a recommendation on appointment vacancy, and so we'll bring that forward at a future meeting. But that's all of note now. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on to number 8, consent agenda.
Moved by Councillor Rapato, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that items listed under the consent agenda, 8.4, be approved as recommended.
All in favor? Okay. Number 9, staff reports, memos.
Moved by Councillor Rapato, seconded by Councillor Cannon, resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby receive the following staff reports and memos. A, Protective Services Department, Kevin Savarin, 2020 April monthly report. Infrastructure Services Department, Dan Beach, Rebecca Weatherall, 2024 April 24 monthly report. Finance Department, Manuela Batovania, 2024-09 April 2024 monthly report. Community Services and Tourism, Alex Patterson, 2024-10 April monthly report. Corporate Services, CAO, March report. DBRW memo, accessible transit van updates and funding changes requests. DBRW memo, update on landfill signage and hours of operation. AP memo, request for waiver of rental fee for a seasonal marine slip. DBRW memo, previously owned mid-sized wheel loader RFT results. DBRW memo, RFP 2024-05, airport sand shed bid results and recommended contractor. And AP memo, MAT consultation results, May 2024.
Okay, thank you. And item 10, business arising out of previous meeting.
Sorry, Chair, all in favor?
I'll get this sooner. All in favor? Okay,
Thank you.
now we'll move on to number 10. Business arising out of previous meeting. None. So number 11, new business. Okay, 11.1, are you taking care of that too?
Yes. Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon. Whereas Council had agreed on the purchase of a fully electric van as outlined in the strategic plan, and whereas the purpose of purchasing an accessible electric van is to replace the gas-powered 18-passenger van, and whereas the Move Mobility Company has ceased making electric accessible transit vehicles due to negative feedback received from clients, and whereas as a result, the municipality is unable to purchase a fully electric accessible van, and whereas as a result of the change from an accessible electric van to a gas-powered van, a project change request form must be submitted to the Rural Transit Solutions Fund, where from an 18-passenger van to an accessible van will reduce energy consumption. Therefore, be resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby accept the request memo unavailability of a Rural Transit Solutions Fund project change request and endorse the submission of a change request form so this funding opportunity is not missed.
All in favor? Okay, 11.2.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, whereas in 2023, municipal staff assessed the equipment of the aerodrome and had made a recommendation to replace the 1997 John Deere loader with the newer previously owned loader, and for tender was issued through Vincent Tender, with 6 bids being received and evaluated. Therefore, be it resolved that the municipality of Wawa does hereby approve staff recommendation from DBRW memo RFT 2024-01, previously owned mid-sized wheel loader bid results and equipment, and approved to purchase for the purchase price of John Deere 624L loader in the amount of $168,318.16, HST included.
All in favor? Moving on to 11.3.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon, whereas the municipality of Wawa applied to NOHFC for funding to improve accessibility in the terminal, including updating airport terminal seating, and to improve the safety and runway operations by constructing a sand shed. And whereas the NOHFC funding application was approved to spend on the necessary and whereas a request for proposals for a 40 by 40 foot sand shed, complete with a block foundation and steel frame HDPE fabric tarp top, was issued through the municipality's bid and tender site, and whereas they are with 4 tenders being received and evaluated, therefore be it resolved, the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby accept staff recommendation from DBRWMO RFP 2024-05 airport sand shed bid results and award the contract to Mr. Mike Moore for the construction of a 40 by 40 fabric tarp shed with landscape concrete block foundation in the amount of $156,925.36, including HST.
All in favor? Item number 12, notice of motion. There is none, so we'll move on to item 13, bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed, and that the deputy mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 3714-24, to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 10th, 11th, and 21st day of May 2024. Bylaw number 3715-24, to adopt municipality Wawa policy number MM-013, protecting children and vulnerable persons in the municipality Wawa. Number 3716-24, to amend bylaw 3615-23 and to enter into a rural economic development program agreement with the Ministry of Agricultural, Food and Rural Affairs, file red 5-10008.
Do we all appear? Okay. Item number 14, closed session. There is no closed session, so we'll go to number 15, returning. And number 16, business arising. There is no business. Next meeting date, Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. We'll move on to number adjournment. Close the meeting at 7:20 p.m.
Councillor Hatfield, second by Councillor Cannon, at 7:20 p.m.
Very good. Good night, people. All in favor?